Howdy gamers, it's Leighton here from Leighton Night, the podcast that you're currently listening to in case you accidentally stumbled upon this, in which case I am sorry, but just wanted to let you know that there is a video version of this episode that is up on our Patreon for all tiers. So if you want to join us over there, depending on the tier, you can get all sorts of cool benefits. We do mini-sodes every week. We do some fun videos. You get access to our fan Discord, and overall, it's a really lovely time, and we would love to have you there. So, without any further ado, here is the audio version of this episode. So if you want to do the video version, you can go to patreon.com/Leighton Night. Or not. It's really whatever floats your boat. Anyway, episode...
So we're going to talk Patreon for a minute here because we all have Patreons. But for those of you who are watching this on the Patreon and you can see the room Johnny's in, this is a special room for me because this is the old Jim Roach studio where like the last several NSP albums were written, like literally right in this space that you're looking into right now with Johnny. So I've spent many hours writing and recording in this space. So what's the deal, John? You like sublet it from Jim or something?
Yeah. So we did that one session in Nashville. That's where I got to know him a bit better. And I was just asking him, because I was looking for a space, like, hey, what happened to your old studio now that you live in Nashville? And then, a few days later, he actually called me and said, he didn't want to lose it completely. And so he's letting me sublet it, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's been awesome. But anyway, we were talking Patreon. So if you're watching the Patreon, you can see this amazing studio. So John, you were about to tell us something about Patreon.
Yeah, I just started doing a couple new things. There's a few new things I'm about to start that's kind of pending. Basically, there's this new idea I had, Wheel or More Wheel, which is the dumbest name of all time, and I really like it. But
Wheel or More Wheel?
Yes, and I've gotten the Patreon involved by letting them choose a subgenre and then giving me a lyric, like they make one up. And I put it on the spinny wheel, which you can kind of see in the other room.
Oh, yep, there's the wheel.
And the idea is I'll spin it, and I'll get a genre, and I'll get a lyric, and then also 5-year increments, decades from 1950 all the way to now. And the possibility is that I might get like pop punk in the year 1965. And like one of the lyrics I got, for example, was I like truck, my girlfriend's a truck. And so, the idea is just to make like themed videos, creating songs with these things. That was a new thing. And then also one that I'm excited about is for the breakdown videos where I kind of talk down the making of the songs and stuff. I've started doing this thing at the end, just a top-down view of the piano where I'll play through the entire song.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, and if you go to the Patreon, because those videos are public, but if you go to the Patreon, I am now uploading completely through composed sheet music for piano.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, which it is not actually as tedious as I expected it to be. I'm pretty quick at it in Finale now, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
Let's really get into this music stuff right off the bat. And I want to get into something so specific that it will alienate basically everybody listening.
Perfect.
Fabulous.
Which is Finale versus Sibelius. So, Leighton, do you even know what I'm talking about?
No, this sounds like it's going to be one of the delightful moments in which I am completely removed from this and I get to be the little audience stand-in. So what are both of those things that you just said?
Well, they are both notation software. So I grew up working in Finale. When I was in college, I wrote everything I wrote on Finale. So I got used to that interface, like really loved it. I don't think I have it anymore. For a while, I had a stack of 3.5-inch floppies with everything I had written score-wise on it. This is now completely unreasonable, and I think I had thrown them out anyway. But when I started doing more notation stuff again, which was like, 15 years later, a composer friend was like, no, dude, you gotta work in Sibelius, which is another program. And I've been fucking wrestling with this thing ever since. And every time I use it, it feels like pulling teeth. I can't get into the vibe. And I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm curious, Johnny, what your take is on this.
With most like softwares or DAWs or different things, like whether it's like video editing or music production, it's easy to see why the different crowds use it. But like with Sibelius and Finale, I don't know what the demographic is that separates the two. Because I've seen people that I went to college with use both, and like marching directors use both. So I don't know where the split happens.
I don't either.
This really is a polarizing topic for the two people that know what we're talking about.
This kind of stuff is fascinating to me because it's very much like anything that changes one's workflow, I'm always very interested in, because usually it goes badly. You're used to your specific software that you get it and you use it and you try to do something else that completely fucks you up. Every once in a while you switch and you're like, oh my God, I should have done this 5 years ago. Why didn't I know about this?
That was Final Cut to Premiere. That was Studio One to Pro Tools. And the thing about Sibelius and Finale, though, and why I really don't think it matters at all, is because the language of XML and MIDI is transferable from any program to any program. I can do something in Finale, send you the files in MIDI, and you can open it, and it will be fine.
That's right.
So, like, really, you do what you want. It doesn't matter. Pro Tools, that was a whole problem, for example, where, like, if someone's working in, like, Logic or Studio One or Cubase or Reason or whatever, now they got to stem it out, and it's a nightmare.
So I work in Logic. Almost everyone else I know works in Ableton that I collaborate with regularly. And Ableton. It's just like two trains passing in the night.
Yeah. I mean, it's the equivalent of putting something into Google Translate and hoping you don't lose anything, but you're just going to.
Yeah, it's Mandarin to English. That's right.
Yeah. And so then if you're the one trying to turn Mandarin to English, you have to learn how to like speak English and Mandarin. And that just makes my job hard. That's why I have to be able to use Logic and Studio One and Pro Tools. It's stupid. But if you're using Sibelius, I can still use Finale, and we can be friends and stuff.
Yeah, so. It's not like entering the notes. That's the easy part. It's all the fine-tuning when you're trying to make a score look really dope. Like, that's the thing that's hard to me in Sibelius, is like really making it look awesome, you know, in that last 15% of the work or whatever it is.
I'm having the same issue because I just got Guitar Pro, which is a tablature software.
Oh.
Because people have been wanting tabs, which I don't do. But yeah, I've been having to learn how to do that and make it look good. Somebody bought the sheet music recently, and I wasn't specific enough in the description. And they were like, where's the tab? And I was like, tab isn't sheet music. It's different.
I think you and I might have even talked about this once. Guitar tabs drive me insane. Now, I don't play guitar. I don't know how to play guitar. However, every time I look at a guitar tab, it looks wrong. Like, I feel like they're just constantly fucked up. By the way, this is especially bad if you're looking at shit online, because people who put this stuff online generally seem to not understand music theory. Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm really dragging everybody today.
You really are. You came in hot.
I came in hot. Look, I'm ready.
Fuck Sibelius, fuck tab.
Yeah, fuck guitarists, of course. But if you look at, you know, tabs online, chords online, first of all, the key is wrong half the time for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Second of all, no, the bass note matters, people. Like, there's a difference between an A major and an F sharp minor 7. It matters here. And a lot of the time, those guitar tabs just completely ignore the bass note and get the theory wrong to such a degree that to anyone with any knowledge or an ear, like, you play it and you're like, what? No, it's not that at
it
all.
Fundamentally changes the song.
Fundamentally. That's right. And so my question is always, for people who are putting these tabs online, first of all, they're like doing a favor for people. So I really should not be like shitting on them. This is a nice thing to do, is to figure out the chords of a song and then put it online for free.
But you're giving someone the answers to a test and they're wrong.
That's right. Yes. You're giving someone the answers to a test they might perform with their band, and it's just wrong. And then it becomes the question of like, can you not hear that this is wrong? Obviously, most people probably don't know music theory, so maybe it's that. But it just sounds so wrong that I'm curious what that process is of saying, yeah, this is correct. I'm going to put it out there.
Brian, question.
Yes.
Have you ever found NSP tabs online where looking at them you were like, oh, fuck no?
100%.
Okay.
You know how I work. Like, I will occasionally forget how to play a song I wrote, and I will look it up online just because it's a little faster sometimes than figuring it out again. You know, NSP songs, it's not that complicated. Like, most of the time, they're totally, totally fine. But every once in a while, especially for some of the jazzier stuff that has, like, you know, extended harmonies, it's just like, oh, that's not what's going on there.
What songs would you point out as the jazzier stuff?
Oh, jazzy. Okay. I really mean harmonically, not stylistically. I have to look. I forgot every song I've ever written.
You played one here the last time you were here that had some interesting turnarounds.
Danny, Don't You Know, has I wouldn't really call that complicated.
That's what you were playing. You're playing the Don't You Know?
Oh, the chorus has a couple, it's like an alternate bass note or something like that. It's really not that involved. Maybe a little bit Welcome to My Parents' House, but only because it has like ninths in it, which is not really that much, but it's the kind of thing that maybe you might consider slightly jazzier. Most of it is pretty boneheaded rock stuff. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to introduce the show and our guest so we can really get into more music talk. Obviously, this is pretty much what this is going to be. If people aren't interested in hearing music talk, they should just shut this off right now. Everybody, this is Late Night with Brian Wecht. Over here we have Leighton Gray.
Oh, that's me. The one who just spoke was Dr. Brian Wecht.
Music doctor,
did you
Brian Wecht,
see and hear me visibly have to skip over a mister? Because that's what was happening for me.
I figured there was a different epithet in front of the doctor that you were skipping, and it wasn't a mister. It was like the Right Honorable Dr. Brian Wecht.
Certainly. Yes. Anyway, Brian Wecht, whatever honorific you want to give him, he deserves, especially if it's negative. Mystery guest, what's your name? Who are you? And what do you do? And how are you? That was too many questions.
I don't know which one to answer first. I am good. I'm decent. I have a tooth, which I guess, listeners, I didn't. And my name is Johnny Manchild, Bachelor Johnny Manchild. That's all I got in college. I am a musician, performer, recording engineer, composer, title maker. Yeah. I don't know.
You have a band. Would you tell us the name of that band?
I have a band, Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards. I write music and record it and give it to people to listen.
Wonderful. You scored a 10 out of 10 on my random questions, so great.
Awesome. So we met for the first time at the album release. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. For Ace of Hearts, yes.
Yes. So Alpha Rad put out an album several months ago. When was that?
6-7 months ago. Like late November, early December.
Yep. And your involvement with that album was what?
I helped arrange and write the music for it. I did all the production engineering on the record. I played a lot of the guitar and piano on the record.
Yeah. So a big part of that album. And I thought it was just going to be like an album release party. I did not realize when I walked into that thing in Hollywood that essentially the whole album had been made into a music video. And it was like this long, continuous kind of thing, right?
It was a huge Beyonce move, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. A huge Beyonce move. Did I say Beyonce?
Beyonce?
Wow. I did see Beyonce, didn't I? Beyonce move. And we met there because you were a big part of the album. And then, you were just about to, I think, move out here at that point, right?
Mm-hmm. I was less than a month from moving, yeah.
From?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
Oh.
Oklahoma City.
Now, you told me something very interesting about Oklahoma City that I'm still kind of wrapping my head around, which is, so I played you some of the smooth jazz stuff and some that I've been working on, as well as some of this Donny Benet. It's like this Australian guy who does very 80s, kind of disco-y sort of things. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you told me that style of music is dominating Oklahoma City.
We were talking about the kind of chill wave indie pop thing, super 80s oriented, super retro fit, but with kind of modern production, all that thing. There's bands like Swim Fan, and then even licensing projects like Chair Model kind of took that on, and you've got Josh Fudge, who's blowing up right now. He just did a tour with Bastille coming out of Oklahoma City. Right now, I would say in the realm of what the producers and engineers that I'm aware of are working on and what is reaching the furthest from Oklahoma City, it would be that style.
That's amazing.
The cool thing about it, though, is you've got a lot of jazz players. Logan Brunn, I think he's a little bit younger than I am, and he's the guy that's kind of playing and arranging for Josh Fudge, who is literally 19 years old, going around touring around the country. But he, for example, has really great jazz and neo-soul facilities, which he puts into this genre. And you wouldn't know. It's the same thing as Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson situation. Sure. There is a million and one things that don't make its way into the music, but they inform everything else.
Quincy Jones, of course, he cut his teeth arranging for Basie and, all these doing big band charts in the 50s and 60s, right? And now he's producing, not now, but then, moves on to producing disco and soul and this kind of very poppy sort of stuff. Yeah.
He started with "It's My Party, I'll Cry If I Want to." I can't remember who that is.
Yeah, it's Leslie Gore.
Leslie Gore. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's stuff happening in Oklahoma City, and especially since this quarantine COVID situation, a lot of people moved out of the biggest cities to Oklahoma. Last time I was there, actually, this 2-week stint last month, that's the first time that going out to a bar or going out to places or venues that I know, it wasn't a thing where like, oh, I don't know everybody here. I don't even recognize the type of person that I am seeing in Oklahoma City.
What does that mean, the type of person?
Here's what that means. Oklahoma City is relatively small. Having been there for as long as I had been, you kind of know everybody. Not only did I not know them, but I'm seeing people who do not dress or look or talk or act anything like any type of person I have seen. Because Oklahoma City really isn't that big. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you've got this influx of people from other places, it's kind of noticeable. And whenever I went out last time, I was like, man, there's some very like flowy people coming in here. Like I've never dressed this nice. I don't know where they're getting their clothes.
So they look too fancy.
Kind of, yeah. They were so hip, like ridiculously so. Like they made me feel old. Like if I hang out with these people long enough, I feel like I will learn spells. And like I'll learn something about crystals that I didn't know before. But like, it's a cool thing though, because I think that just means Oklahoma City's growing a bit.
Yeah. These micro scenes in different cities, especially cities I don't know very well, are always interesting to me. Like I never would have guessed if you said, what's a really popular genre in Oklahoma City right now? It just would have picked some music genre, but it probably would not have been like chill wave 80s stuff,
People would probably think of Tulsa. The Nashville-Tulsa connection was so strong, especially with the Troubadours and John Fulbright, but that was 10 years ago, and now it's different. There's one thing I know for sure. I've gotten to go to different venues around Los Angeles, which that's a big area we're talking about, but like the Ments and the Echo and even the Troubadour and all places like that kind of size, and I've seen a lot of not super great shows. And what I mean by that is just like they were very obviously trying to hit a target that didn't really have anything to do with the music they were playing.
You mean like a demographic target?
No, I mean like their goal. It seemed like it was more aesthetic than anything else, which
I see.
It's kind of a bummer. And in Oklahoma, though, like you go out to see a show, it's probably going to be awesome. Because like any night of the week, you can go to Ponyboy or Tower Theater or Beer City or 89th or wherever you're going, and like the bands are going to be pretty good. But yeah, for whatever reason, there's just a lot of good talent in Oklahoma City right now.
That's amazing. What else, like genre-wise, what else is going on there that you think is interesting?
Well, I mean, my band started out of there, which is kind of telling, I think, of what a lot of people are, at least in my circles of music, into. There's a big jazz scene in Oklahoma, largely because of UCO, but also because of some of the high schools that are taking part in jazz.
Like big jazz program, high school kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And there's just good educators in Oklahoma as well. But yeah, I'd say there is a big brass thing. You've got Flock of Pigs are doing it. We did it. You've got, it's not ska either, but it's involvement of jazz influence. Like Cliff Diver is a band I'm a fan of. We're kind of friends with them. They opened for us at our album release show. And they are a Midwest emo and pop punk band with a killer saxophone player.
That rules. I love that.
It's sick. And that's what we're talking about. It's like, it's not jazz fusion in the way that you would think. It's like, it's very Oklahoma. Like we have taken these things and infused them with jazz because that's what's happening right now.
I love that. I love it when you get a band with a weird instrument, a la Cake is probably the most famous example of this. We were like, what the fuck is this trumpet doing here?
But we're just so glad to hear the trumpet there.
Yeah, like it's what makes Cake cool, It's why it's a distinctive sound because you're not just going to hear a solo trumpet on a bunch of pop records. Or at least you weren't back then.
Or like playing handsaw on, a couple of Neutral Milk Hotel albums. That weird warbly sound.
What's your relationship, Layden, to Neutral Milk Hotel?
My very first concert was Neutral Milk Hotel on their final tour.
Fuck, I forgot that.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm a big Neutral Milk Hotel fan, like obviously, of course. I can't believe I'm not wearing my Neutral Milk Hotel shirt that I've had for like 10 years today. Big fan. Airplane Over the Sea is a classic.
Great
but
album.
I think On Avery Island is like so underrated.
It's Two-Headed Boy that gets me. I don't know what it is. I just love that song. That and King of Carrot Flowers Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
That is definitely my favorite album, is that one.
It's so fucking good.
It's crazy
so
good.
I think the song that got me into them was I was at a friend's place in high school and we were like...
At a milk party.
And she played O Comely. She was like, the song's crazy. It's about like coming up mountains. And I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And so that started a lifelong love affair with that strange man, Jeff Mangum.
That's why they're so cool, I think, though, is because it's so incredibly obvious that he has never for one moment tried to do anything for anyone else. Like, he was obviously just making what he wanted to make, because that is not catering to fucking anyone.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, the indie cred is off the charts, of course.
But it was before that was a thing.
That's right.
That's why it's off the charts, is because it sounds like shit, and it's awesome.
That's the best fucking way to put it. It sounds like shit and it's awesome.
Leighton, have you and I ever talked about jellyfish?
No.
You guys jellyfish fans?
I don't know of that.
Oh, you gotta listen to Jellyfish. Talk about another hey, I'm just doing my weird thing. Man, I think they only have 2 albums. Oh yeah, there it is. Spilt Milk from 93.
Well, I like any song that's called Baby's Coming Back.
Yeah, it's very interesting stuff. Jim Roach is a big fan of this band too. And they're one of those, if you were around in the early 90s and listening to weird shit, you knew about these guys. I think it's mainly one dude, but I could be wrong about that. But I'm fascinated by these, yeah, I'm just doing my weird... Look, my whole fucking career is built on, I'm just doing this one weird thing that probably nobody's going to like, because I feel like that is the best way to be. This is something I want to do. It's for me. Hopefully someone likes it, but if not, I will just move on to the next thing that I feel like doing, which is, again, why I'm putting out a fucking smooth jazz album in 2022.
Sounds like one of the members of Jellyfish went on to do the Moog cookbook.
Really? Wait, the Moog cookbook must have been before the classic Moog cookbook. I thought the Moog cookbook was from the 70s. Or am I wrong about that?
No, I'm pretty sure, as far as I know.
Oh, it was a parody of and tribute to the novelty Moog records of the late 60s and 70s. I see. So it is. Yes, you're right. No, Moog cookbook was after. You were totally right.
Interesting.
Did I send either of you, I believe it's called Country Moogs Take Me Home album?
No.
Hold on. I got to find this. Oh, here it is. No, it's called just Country Moog Nashville Gold. All right. So we're going to listen to one of these tracks. Everyone pull up track 2, Folsom Prison Blues. This album is from the 70s, but I couldn't tell you when, maybe the 80s. All right. Is everybody ready to click play on Folsom Prison Blues?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Isn't this great?
This is incredible.
Anyway, okay. This goes on for a while. This whole album is worth it. And some of them... Oh, sorry. Look at track 12 right now.
Okay. Oh my God.
Moog.
Okay, ready? We're going to play this one. 3, 2, 1, play.
Why?
Why not? Johnny, some people look at the world as it is and say why. And other people look at the world as it could be and say why not.
At my funeral, when my casket is being lowered into the grave, I want Yakety Moog to pop off.
Can I show you guys a track?
Of
'Cause
course.
It just reminded me of something. Have you ever heard of the band? It's really a one-man band called That One Guy.
No.
No.
Amazing. I'm so happy to hear you say that. Okay, so here's the deal with That One Guy.
Okay,
I think he was from the late 90s, early 2000s and kind of grew on. He might not even be that old, but his whole deal is that he created his own instrument called the Magic Pipe out of a bunch of PVC and stuff. And so
Nice.
the little boingy mouth harp, jaw harp, that sounding thing sounds like that. So if we could just listen to Butt Machine.
And this is off the album The Moon is Disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. We're listening to Butt Machine by That One Guy. 3, 2, 1, play.
That's the pipe instrument, right?
Oh, I can tell, yeah.
This song is fucking hilarious.
Is this one instrument or this is overdubbed?
I've seen him play live and he's got it all attached.
Wow.
Yeah, this fucking rips.
This is
right?
unbelievable.
Butt Machine.
Butt Machine. So do you know this person or you just know of him?
No, I just know him. I can tell you why I know him too. And
Yes, please.
It's not like a cool or hip reason. It's because that song is how I got into him, and it was on the 3rd or 4th season of the show Weeds.
Aha!
Oh, okay.
I had the Wikipedia page open, and that's the only line that's like visible with the Spotify window over.
Oh my God, look at this instrument.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I love this so much.
And Ani DeFranco signed him to her label.
Whoa.
Wow. I love people that just invent their own weird fucking instruments. Do you guys know Harry Parch? Do you know this name?
No.
Have we talked about Harry Parch?
We might have. I've been really interested in him for years. It's Partch. And he invented this thing he called the American gamelan. We did talk about him, actually. Basically, he made these insane looking musical instruments. There was one microtonal scale he was like obsessed with, this 43 note scale that he frequently wrote in. And he has a, what did he call it? A chromelodian or something like that. Yeah, chromelodian. I got that right. But yeah, if you look up the Harry Parch instruments, they're like nuts.
These are some fucking achievements of design.
Devised a 43 note octave.
Yep. They're real like Cronenberg-y, kind of, some of them.
Dude, I made a joke about Cronenberg during therapy yesterday. And of course, my therapist addressed the thing that I said and then went, "Who's Cronenberg?"
What?
The running joke with me is that my therapist has seen 3 movies and nothing else.
And they're analyze this, analyze that, and Forrest Gump.
But he just doesn't get. I was like, Jeff Goldblum, The Fly? And he was like, I don't know what that is.
I am not seeing the new Cronenberg movie. I'm not fucking doing it.
Why not?
Fuck that. I saw the trailer and I was like, no.
That's exactly my reaction.
No,
it would
man.
upset me too much.
I know nothing about it, but I'm so excited to see it because I love Cronenberg.
People walked out.
Oh, hell yeah.
People always say that like people walked out, but I would fucking walk out because that movie gave me anxiety just watching the trailer.
Yeah, same. Dude, exactly the same. And I like love Cronenberg. Some of the shit I can't handle. I have to close my eyes through at least 20% of Tarantino movies.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that, but it's just this type of body horror is too real.
Yeah.
You guys could not be giving me like a bigger like recommendation than you are right now.
And that's the thing about like diehard Cronenberg fans is everyone's like, the Cannes audience walked out. And everyone's like, fuck yeah. Let's do it.
Daddy Crony, let's go.
Like people want to see someone stick a pencil through their ear and just like, yes, that sounds great.
What's the name for Cronenberg fans? There must be a stupid fandom name, right? Like Fanenbergs or something.
Cronies.
Cronies. That's
Cronies.
Good.
A plus. I texted a friend who like I go see horror movies with if he wanted to go see it with me. And he was like, no, that's a level of gore I cannot handle. And then it left theaters, I guess.
Oh, it's already out?
Yeah, it's been out. Fine, I'll go hit up the twerk group chat and find people who want to watch it with me.
Well, I understand it's a big megaplex release in Canada. It's their most popular movie.
God, what the fuck is wrong with Canadians? Have you guys seen Green Room?
Yes.
Again, I can't do it.
That's great movie though.
I'm aware.
That's an example of the type of gore that gets under my skin. It was too real.
It's very medically accurate, as discussed on this show. There's a very floppy arm, and then they cut to a unpleasant box cutter experience. So
Oh God,
I
that
don't want to see that.
the
bad,
1-2
man.
of it is pretty rough.
Ugh, no, thank you. I can't deal with almost any gore. If it's like, Evil Dead type shit, that's fine. But if it's anything that's vaguely realistic, I am 1,000,000% out.
Yeah, Green Room is that. And there's something about body horror when it's not accompanied with music at all that is especially bad.
Yeah.
And music has that like tension and release thing, but when there is no music and it's just silence, it's just tension. Like nothing gets rid of it. Like that Last House on the Left is a movie that does that. Horrible. Never watching it again movie. Like, not to say it's good or bad. It was just too hard to watch to even call it good or bad. And there was not a single ounce of music through the worst parts. And it makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Michael Haneke, one of my favorite directors and also creator of just the most depressing and upsetting movies. No music, like barely any. He just makes you stew in it. And I love that.
Coen Brothers did it on No Country for Old Men.
Yes.
And I remember watching it. I was just like, this is such a good choice. Like, it changes the whole thing.
Is that a Carter Burwell? Because he does a lot of their shit. I'm a huge fan of his. His Fargo score, I think, is just stunning.
See, I doubt he even touched the movie. There was literally no music, like, at all.
Oh, wow.
Unless he's credited with just deciding not to do anything.
He is credited as the music for that, but I wonder what that means. Yeah.
I haven't rewatched the movie since I read the book recently. I need to revisit because the book was great.
It's Cormac McCarthy, is that right?
Yep. When I was on my little Cormac McCarthy kick, I read Child of God, which A fucking plus. The Road I hated because I can't hang with apocalypse shit. I just don't care. And I got halfway through Blood Meridian, but man, that book is dense. I'm always looking up words with books, but that one just has so many words that straight up like are not in the dictionary. Or
Really?
Yeah, because it was really like intensely researched, and it's a lot of like, I think very like localized and specific like Spanish terms.
Blood Meridian, you said?
Yeah, or like archaic versions of words. So it's just like, this is, oh my God. Like it's incredible, but it is such a like, you got to pick away at it.
I tried to read once one of those, you know, the Patrick O'Brien, it's the Master and Commander, the naval books. And there's like 40 of them or something. It's Aubrey McLaren, it's the captain and the doctor. Paul Bettany was one of them in the movie. I think it was Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe when they made a movie out of it.
I have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Jenny?
No, and I have to say how hilarious it is. You said that, and I was listening, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I mistook Patrick O'Brien for Richard O'Brien, the creator of Rocky Horror Picture Show. And I was like, when the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, different guy for sure.
Cool.
But these books are, let's just say, the book felt like it was 80% terms for things on a ship. Like very specific terms for like, we're going to raise this sail with this rope by going to this part of the ship. I mean, after a while, you're like, it might as well just be alien symbols. These are things on a ship. And that's the last time I felt like that reading a book where I was like, this is just too much jargon for the payoff here.
I felt not the same thing, but a similar thing with like Anne Rice books, as I used to read some of those. But if you've ever read one of those, it's kind of like the pen sat on the desk, plastic, black ink dripping from the narrow nozzle as it sat on the balsa wood, or maybe it was pine.
This is the horniest thing that's ever happened on this show, by the way.
What?
No, this is a very drippy description of the pen.
Perfect Anne Rice.
It's just so fucking detailed for no reason. Like, it's too much.
It's incredibly floral.
Is it bad?
No, it's not bad. It's just a lot.
It's gothic vampire shit. So, of course, she's very floral about it.
That's a good word, floral.
Yeah. Purple prose, one might call it.
I haven't read fiction at all. Actually, I've got a book over here, which is my thing that I wanted to talk about. It's my thing that I picked. I've been reading a lot of nonfiction, a lot of memoirs, a lot of musical history type things. Questlove's new book is the one I'm reading right now, too.
Oh, is it good?
So far, yeah, it's really good.
That guy rules.
Questlove's fucking awesome.
I mean, such an interesting choice to do the late night thing. He's on Fallon, is that right?
Mm-hmm, The Roots, yeah.
But I love it when my favorite musicians get a chance to just completely sell out and then take it and get an awesome payday. And he's still great on that show. They're just doing like a very specific thing now with that band because Roots are an incredible band. And I'm thrilled for them that they get the opportunity to cash those checks. I'm not kidding. Like, I really mean that.
No, I think he's paid his dues.
Of course.
Done enough.
No, exactly.
And also won a very unfairly overshadowed Academy Award. Like, really just terrible timing on that. Good for him.
No, an incredible musician and thinker just in general.
And I will always think of the Eric Andre episode with Questlove's in the House.
I haven't seen that one.
You're not in the house. You know where. your dad is here.
The selling out thing reminded me, I think this is a Guy Branum quote. He was like, some people, they see like an older stage actor guesting on a sitcom and they're like, oh man, that person's kind of like washed up and what a bummer to see. Some people would say, what a bummer to see Elaine Stritch on 30 Rock or something like that. Well, those people are idiots, first of all.
That is such a specific example that even though it's a hypothetical, makes me want to flip a table.
What if someone said, what a bummer to see her on 30 Rock?
Yeah, because she's great on 30 Rock. She's incredible on 30 Rock.
No, she's amazing. She's the best at everything, but especially in that. But as Guy Branum pointed out, what that means is this is a journeyman performer who is finally getting a chance to like fucking cash in and get some easy money for probably not too demanding a role. And when you see this, you should be thrilled. You shouldn't be upset that your performer sold out or whatever. It's that they can do a walk-on. They have a 5-minute part. Like, let them cash the check and be proud of them, you know?
Yeah.
Which I think is very true.
If you want to support them, like, be happy they're getting their bag, for the love of God.
Yeah, you can be critical on that whenever you tell me where musicians can sign up for good health insurance.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is something too. I feel like this is a major generational shift between when I was growing up, when I was basically your guys' age, and now. You know, I remember being in my 20s and there was that very much fuck you, sell out kind of vibe. And now it feels like it's much more of a, hell yeah, cash that check. That's awesome that you got the money. And I think the shift in this was sometime in the 90s when people started like on purpose doing more commercial stuff in order to cash checks. And then people realized, oh, actually, no, they're making money. That's fine.
So I was born in 95, which means like I was just old enough for all the stuff that happened in like the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. And I think like just growing up through that and then like the 2008 housing crash, this recession that never actually ended at all probably, and now we're really facing, like, anybody my age understands that we're not really in a place where we can afford to not accept
get that bag.
Get the bag. Because everybody knows, like, you're not trading creativity or like art or passion for money. Like, this is a whole topic here. Actually, it was at VidCon. We were talking with the partner of the woman who runs How to ADHD. And he's also into like psychology and all this stuff. And we were talking about whatever your passion is, anything that you're good at, you feel this need to turn it into something that can be monetized because that's just what you have to do. And so, like, people don't have hobbies the same way they used to.
That's 100% correct.
Yeah, people pick up a hobby and now monetize it because, fuck, you need to make money. Like,
and if you are a public figure, if you mention, you know, hey, I'm cooking or whatever, people will be like, put out a video of you cooking, which comes from a nice place. Of course, it's like, hey, here's a person I like. I want to see them doing more stuff. But the point is that there's this intense pressure for basically anything you reveal about yourself. Someone who knows you will then say, I want to see that basically commodified and put out into the world. So it's not just economic pressure to do it. It's also if you have a fan base, because fans are so invested in the personalities and things about you, they want more ins into your life.
I have liked times in the past where I've streamed and I enjoy doing it, but I enjoy being able to do something that I like in peace and silence.
Yes.
More, I think. So in the past, I might have streamed like, here's me taking apart my keyboard and like putting things back on. And here's the deal. Or here's me making a Gundam. Or here's me playing a video game I like. And it's like, I would enjoy this so much more if I did not have to make this marketable as I do it. So I'm not going to stream. Like, it's a completely different itch. And it's like, do I want to like fundamentally change what I am getting out of this thing that I like because this is like a way that I am able to make money in a very like public and direct kind of sense of it's not only like the money element, it's also like this thing that is where I chill out and listen to a podcast has now been transformed into something performative. And then do I even like doing this?
Right.
I see that with a lot of streamers who get like really big playing certain video games where they are playing it all day, every day. And after years, you can tell that they're just like so fucking sick of this shit. But if they change games, they'll lose most of their audience.
Does Ninja like playing Fortnite now? I doubt it. Maybe he does. I kind of doubt it at this point.
Yes, just strategically pick which thing you enjoy that you're going to ruin for financial and social gains.
Or make it a thing to be constantly switching, which is more like what I have done, at least musically. We do this, multi-genre kind of thing. NSP can do whatever kind of song we feel like writing. I mean, it was a semi-conscious choice, but I'm so glad we did it that way rather than the, hey, we do synth pop, that's it, which would have been an easy choice to make early on, but way less fun, especially when you get, whatever, we're like, I think 12 albums 10 albums deep, 11, something like that.
Christ.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's nuts. We're in the middle of year 13. The band is 13 years old. I don't think Danny agreed to this, but I really wanted to have a bar mitzvah for the band this year. Did I tell you about this, Leighton?
No, but you should have done it.
The band is 13 years old and now has become a mand. And, we could sing the Haftorah. And
that was such a bad joke.
Thank
my
you.
God.
Thank you. It's not the first time I've said it, as you probably guessed. But I would love to have a bar mitzvah for NSP. And I think it could be really, really fun. Anyway, the point is that we can do whatever we want with that band. And if we were, whatever it is, 11 synth pop albums deep, I have a feeling our enthusiasm would be waning quite a bit at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I support people who are making the thing that they want to make and being able to make money making the thing that they want to make, or making the thing that they don't super want to make, but making more money.
That's right. It feels like it should be a trade-off, right?
I would like for everyone to be able to pay rent and take care of themselves health-wise and just be able to live. So also, if that means that you have like a shitty job that has nothing to do with the thing that you're passionate about, so you can support yourself doing the thing you're passionate about, like that is also perfectly valid.
Totally.
That preserves a lot of the energy that you have for that thing when it's not like my income is dependent on my level of skill, and thus I must be harshly critical of myself to sustain this, because if I stagnate, then like, whoops, there goes the money.
Yep. I'm sure I've talked about this example on the show, but it's my favorite thing to bring up when this comes up, which is Charles Ives, the composer, who sold insurance for literally his entire life just so he could write the weirdest fucking music possible. I think he died in, I think it's 54. So he was very active around like the turn of the century and up until like, I think the teens. I think he had like a heart attack and kind of stopped really working on music. But he was writing stuff in the late 19th century that was like light years harmonically ahead of its time. And he could do it because he had a job. And if Charles Ives had not been selling insurance and making money doing that, we would have been deprived of what is some of my favorite music of all time, because he wouldn't have had the financial freedom to do whatever the fuck he wanted. So I think there's a sense in which many times having a quote unquote backup or real job or whatever the fuck it is you want to call it lets you be as free as you possibly want. And then you can take really wild chances. So sometimes it inversely correlates,
This all kind of like loosely is surrounding this thing that I've been thinking about a lot. I'm moving back to Oklahoma.
Oh, you are?
I am. And it looks like it might even be sooner than I expected. But it just my general experience over the last like year or so, it's made me think a lot about it's just where the music industry is at. Because, Los Angeles being what it is, everybody talks about how it is a music hub. And it is. Like, that's undeniable. But in the same way as I was talking about Oklahoma City, there's all these things happening here that you wouldn't expect. And I think that's because like destination and location isn't really as relevant as it used to be because of the internet and because of social media and stuff. And I've come out here and I've gotten great opportunities. I got to meet you, which is fantastic. I've gotten to do some work with other people and creators, and I'm lucky enough to be in this space and creating stuff. But, it's like Leighton said, like you get to the point sometimes where you ask yourself, like, do I even want to be doing this? And it's not that I don't enjoy what I'm doing now, but I see so many people in this thing where I think they get so far along in, I guess you can call it the rat race, trying to get to this point of comfort that you are no longer even doing the thing that you came to do.
Sure.
And so that's why, like, back in Oklahoma, people will not pair Oklahoma with, like, bleeding edge music industry. But what it does allow you is like you're connected to the internet through all these other people, and all the scenes that are happening are all coming up almost equally across the country because of the internet. And so you've got the ability to actually sit back, slow things down a little bit, and really focus on like what is it that you want to do. And I think that's why you see all these people coming out of these smaller towns, is because in the big towns you don't have the privilege of taking a breath and not doing the thing that makes the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with high cost of living, LA is especially just ruthless on that front.
And it's interesting seeing people here that were born here that feel the same way. Like, it's just crazy.
Oh, yeah. I think almost everybody who lives here, unless you're making like $1 million a year or something crazy, you're like, man, I'm fucking stupid. I should be living somewhere else. I think all the time, like we could, for a down payment on a house in LA, buy a really nice fucking place in Minnesota, where my wife is from. And like, why don't we do that? And the answer is because right now it still makes sense for us to be out here. But at some point, it probably will not. And then what do you do? And maybe that not makes sense as a financial thing. Maybe it's because there's crippling drought, or there's environmental stuff that is a concern. But like almost everyone I know who lives here, the one exception being Brent Lilly, thinks about leaving from time to time.
Yeah, Johnny, as a 97 baby myself, I think we're in a fun little boat where it's just like, well, I'll milk what I have until it's done, which will probably be sooner rather than later. And just take every day as it comes and continue to attempt to survive.
You're forgetting about the vibe shift that's coming.
The vibe shift.
Yeah, there's going to be a great vibe shift that's coming soon. There have been articles about the vibe shift that's already happened.
Fuck does that mean? Is what they're describing fascism?
I'm not picking up on your vibe.
Yeah, there was an article about like a massive vibe shift has happened. And it was one of those like dumb think pieces that you read and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? And why would anyone care about this? Speaking of what the fuck is going on here and why would anyone care about this?
You didn't even elaborate on what vibe shift means.
I'm not going to. It's time for segments. So what? What do you want me to say about vibe shifts?
It's just,
It's when you take a mallet instrument and roll it a couple feet to the left.
I'm guessing vibe shift is just like an uneducated way of saying like, hey, I think things are kind of not good right now.
Yes, I think pretty much.
Things are about to get worse, sort of like how when animals know when something bad's about to happen and they wild out. That's the vibe shift.
Yes.
You can smell that it's about to rain and everyone's just like, oh,
Yeah.
Vibe shift.
Vibe shift.
Which, by the way, people on the coast on both sides, do not believe me when I say two things. You can smell the fucking rain when it's coming, and the sky turns green when there's tornadoes. Fuck you. It's true. It's true.
If you're from Oklahoma, I believe you when it comes to tornadoes. I don't know jack shit about tornadoes.
It happens.
Yeah.
It turns green sometimes.
Why?
Okay, it has something to do with like the charge of the air and refraction of light. And it literally, like, thunderstorms will come in and turn things green. I'm talking green. Like,
wow.
It's
like
creepy.
Olive green?
Like grass green, kind of.
Do you know about the green flash when the sun is setting? Do you know about this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a coastal thing, and you can see it usually better on the Pacific coast because of the elevation.
You can see the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Can you really?
That's like a major plot point in one of those movies.
Forgot about it. So if you're looking out into the ocean, just as the sun is setting below the horizon, for like a few seconds, a little thing of, it's not like bam, but it's just like green.
Well, now I feel like I need to go check that out while I'm here.
It's one of those things where you can be looking for it for a while and never seen it. I've only seen it once or twice. One time was up in Portland when we were shooting an NSP music video, but it's awesome. The atmospheric conditions and the angle you're at, et cetera, have to be just right. And then the light that's coming from the sun over the horizon towards your eye, briefly band of green. And I wonder if that's the same type of thing.
Supposedly, the color is from the water droplets suspended in the storm, absorbing red sunlight and radiating green frequencies.
There it is.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, I believe that. It seems that it's like not exclusive to tornadoes, but also having grown up in North Carolina, big old hurricane state, like it does get that greenish look.
In New Jersey, we get that too, but it's all the toxic waste that's emanating out of the ground and suffusing the air. Thank you. Right. Thank you for not laughing at that, lady.
Good job.
I appreciate
Good
your
job.
facial expression.
Okay,
all right,
Brian,
it's time for
now
our
you can
first
do it.
segment.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. No, I don't need your permission, but I do appreciate it. It's time for our first segment, which is our pop culture recommendation segment. This is where, Johnny, you get the chance to recommend a book, a movie, a video game, anything that you've been enjoying recently when it comes to pop culture. Now, we do have a theme song for this segment, which, as I tell our guests every week, we put in post. So you're not going to hear it right now, but you can listen to the episode to hear it. If you were going to hear it, what would you think of it, though? I'm curious about that.
Like, what would it be?
What would you imagine your opinion of it would be if you hypothetically heard it?
Oh, it sounds pretty good.
Great. The segment's called What's Poppin', and the theme song goes here.
What's poppin'?
What's poppin'? All right, Leighton, what's poppin'?
I really thought you were going to drag that out a lot longer.
Me?
So
I've never. No. So
I was.
Just a second.
I was trying to finalize my weed order because I was going to get some weed delivery, but we were recording and I didn't want to. I thought it would be rude if I left in the middle of the episode.
Well, I'll tell you what's rude.
But I think it's rude that you're infringing.
No, it's rude to accuse your co-host of dragging something out when I have never, and this is documented. I've never dragged.
Right, you've never done that. You would never do that. I'm okay. Yes, debit.
That's right.
Now, at 3 p.m. That's a fine delivery window for me. I just plan on being stoned as fuck during this 4th of July weekend. Because fuck this country.
What I might do, it's not dragging it out.
I can't take
the experience of everybody around. I can't take this. I've heard Leighton say those exact words so many times.
And place order.
What I might do occasionally is to create an atmosphere for enhanced experiences, but I wouldn't call that dragging it out. I would call that making it better.
Okay.
Johnny,
what's pop? Excuse you.
That was
you're the one who was dragging it out there.
That was like the equivalent, Arlie, of being on a roller coaster that's gone on like just a little too long. Like, when your shit's getting rocked, you're just like, God damn it, where's the fucking end?
On a wooden roller coaster where it's like, you have a migraine now.
Precisely.
Yep.
I hadn't thought about the fact that I have mental issues until you guys did that. And I was like, this is actually grating at the brainstem. Like, I can't do this.
And that's called podcasting, baby.
That's the highest possible compliment. That's going to go on our Apple podcast.
There's like shell shock in a conversation.
Yeah.
What's poppin'? Okay. I actually just finished this today, finally. And I brought it because I love it. It's a really cool book. And it kind of also ties into what we've already been talking about. It's called Sonic Boom by Peter Carlin. And it's about the history and rise of Warner Brothers Records.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And so going all the way through the 50s with Mo Osteen and Joe Smith and Reprise Records with Sinatra and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And kind of just talking about how all of that stuff happened. And then going into the 80s and 90s with Madonna and Prince and just the general shift, the vibe shift in the music industry.
That's what I'm talking about.
Which actually, an interesting part about it, which this is something that I think has completely taken over music, is something that happens in this book, well, just in history, is you see these people who are, let's say they're at the top of accounting firms or some financial industry or business. They are these high up CFOs, CEOs, people that say, hey, music looks like it's making money. I'd like to get into that. And so they are these lateral transitions into the music industry where they skip the line where they learn what any of this actually means and they throw money at shit and destroy the entire music industry.
AKA private equity.
Yeah, baby.
The purchase of music.
Did you ever read, it's an article or something like that. It's basically about the private equity takeover of Guitar Center. And it's a very interesting article about how, some mega corporation or whatever, some financial firm came in, bought it, fucked it up beyond belief. And that's why it totally, totally sucks now.
Yeah.
It's not the cool hangout it once was.
And actually, fun story. There's a friend of mine. He was older than I was by probably a decade. It was when I first started recording. I had recorded his band. But he got spirited away to California by Guitar Center headquarters, and he was actually one of the few people responsible for the
Fender branded fedoras they keep in the drum section.
No, he's the one who designed what every Guitar Center will look like.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fun.
Do you remember when all of a sudden every single Guitar Center was under construction?
Yes.
And boop,
of course,
that's it. And now they all look the same.
Yes.
That was part of that. I think that was in 2012, 2013.
Surely we can agree that the best part of Guitar Center is the DJ equipment room.
Yeah.
which is where everybody cool wants to go hang out. So you can get your spinning lights and your turntables and
Well, it's the one type of thing I don't know how to use, so the magic is still there for me.
Yeah.
Like, you just poke it.
I remember when we started this show, it would have been like mid-March 2020 when I went to go get the Scarlett Focusrite piece of shit that I'm recording this on right now, and went to pick it up at Guitar Center. And for some reason, it took like 2 hours, and it was spooky because it was mid-March 2020. And I had to sit and wait in that little DJ room, and just a bunch of cool cats waiting on their Scarlett Focusrites, which... what a piece of shit object. This thing fucking sucks, Brian.
yeah, I don't have one.
Now, Focusrite makes some pretty good stuff. There's an interesting history about that, actually. Rupert Neve created the brand Focusrite, and their higher-up stuff, like the 182i, I think is what it's called, or whatever the fuck that is actually pretty good. But yeah, the Scarlett sucks ass.
Yeah, I didn't know Focusrite was a Neve thing. That's interesting.
Let me double check myself before I totally put that on a podcast where everyone can tell me I'm full of shit.
So for those of you who don't know, Neve was an audio engineer who created consoles that are Neves, are like famously awesome. And some of the best ones out there right now are still extant Neve consoles.
They've always been, actually, that's one thing that I'll say I'm really happy about being able to come to California. I have had the fortune of working on like 3 different Neve consoles, which I don't know how to explain to people that aren't nerds about engineering just how amazing a Neve is. Like, let's say Neve is the fucking Millennium Falcon. That shit's fast. It's great.
It feels like magic, honestly. There's just something about how the thing is put together and the way it works, which is unbelievably complicated, that makes the sounds you get out of it incredible.
I think the general idea, to get like nerdy just for a moment, is it all comes down to realizing that any sound recorded at all is nothing but electricity. And really any sound ever is just electricity, if you want to get into like, physiology or whatever, which I don't. But like if you're recording a sound and it goes into the digital domain, it's electricity moving through cables, and that's all it is. And so you have to consider these consoles. Rupert Neve is just a genius level electrical engineer. And so the idea is basically if you can create a machine where the sound going in has the least amount of resistance getting to the tape or to the domain, you get this super open, big, fat sound. And he did it in such a way that it actually has this nice like color added to it from the transformers that he used. And it's this thing of like realizing that like the guts of this are just like genius level electrical engineering. It's cool stuff. I geek out hard over it.
For those of people who don't know, to jump on that a little bit and just correct one thing, sound is not electricity until it gets recorded or played, right? So sound is a pressure wave initially, right? But once you take that pressure wave and convert it to, put it through a mic or put it through a speaker, the whole point is you convert it to electrical signals that then takes the pressure that's hitting, whatever membrane you're using and converts it into electricity. So sound, I wouldn't say is electricity until it starts interacting with the appropriate thing.
Nice PhD, Brian.
I suppose I meant in the way that it becomes technically everything that we sense is...
Oh, I see. You're talking about the signals from your ears. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are nerve signals that are being transmitted from your eardrum in much the same way.
Which is a really stupid, not actually smart thing to say, but it sounds real.
No, you're right. Your eardrum is converting those pressure waves into nerve signals as well, for sure.
I like talking to you about anything, because like when it's anything that's not music, first of all, I don't know shit. But when it's music especially, I can be like, hey, have you heard of this really, really obscure thing that no one likes? And you'll be like, yes, I love it. Here's something you don't know about at all. And there's zero chance you do, but you also will like it. Like most people can't clap back with an even more obscure thing.
Hell yeah.
Like literally, I say, have you heard of that one guy? And you're like, well, check this out. This dude put 43 notes in an octave.
Johnny, you have really just pinpointed like one of the greatest joys of doing this podcast with Brian, with just, not only do you know what I'm talking about, you know way more than me about this. So
now here's something you definitely won't like.
Here's the thing you hate, and I'm going to antagonize you about it.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like even if it was something that you hated, you'd be like, isn't this terrible? It's so interesting.
Well, yeah, honestly, I really do feel that way about most things. Is I can think of relatively few things that I consume that I'm just indifferent about. So I can have an opinion one way or the other. I might not always publicly express that opinion because I don't want to get yelled at on the internet any more than I already do. But yes, I love things that are interesting, whether I like them or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brian, to disclose, I was making fun of you last night
Hell yeah.
as I was doing a running bit with a friend of ours who will remain nameless, talking about what this show looks like when we're doing it on ham radios after society has collapsed. And I was like, oh, what's popping for me is I found this scrap of paper on the ground. It's burned at the edges. It's a page from some book, and we don't have the internet, so I can't figure out what book it is. But it's front and back, it's ripped up and it's wet, but it's pretty good. And then, throw into Brian, who's like, oh, what's popping for me is last night I heard the coolest little sound, and I went outside, and what was it but a rat in a dumpster running around? So cool. Reminds me of 70s jazz. Just that is what's popping for me. So.
Wow. Well, actually, you know what's popping for me this week? I'm just going to go here because what's popping for me is actually 70s jazz. It is
God damn it.
the Earl Klug album, Living Inside Your Love from 1976. And I'm not making that up. That was my pick that I already wrote down. I'm looking at it on my screen right now.
That's insane.
Johnny, do you know Earl Klug? Do you know this guy?
I don't.
He is primarily an acoustic guitarist. I didn't know about him at all until a week ago when I was hanging out with a couple of guys called Twerp in Toronto, Canada. And Commander Meouch was like, dude, you got to check out this album. So it is like primo 70s jazz funk where the lead is an acoustic guitar and it's just way out in front and it's amazing. So I didn't know Earl Klug. Last name is Klugh. But you know the other people on this album, including, let's say, Steve Gadd, including Dave Grusin, one of my smooth jazz heroes. Louis Johnson is on bass for a track. Louis Johnson who played bass on everything cool. Eddie Daniels, who's a reeds player I really like. It's just a fantastic album, and the vibes are impeccable from start to finish. I love hearing that, like very like classic 70s jazz funk, but just real acoustic guitar driven, which you don't get to hear that much.
And what was the name of this album again?
Living Inside Your Love from 1976. Although Spotify will tell you it's been released probably in like 2007 or something.
So how cool is the album art?
You know what? I've only seen it small.
It's the red square. All right, underwhelming.
It's the red square.
I expected a little bit more.
Let me look at it big because it's
from a title
hard to tell.
like that.
Living Inside Your Love, album by Earl Klug.
Is there a favorite track?
They're all really good. Actually, the opening track, Captain Caribe, however you pronounce that, which I think is a gruesome piece, is really good. It's got a very aggressive guiro going on in it. Yeah, album art is like not too great on this one, honestly. I feel like it could be jazzier.
It could. The title is so evocative,
Yeah.
I've never heard this instrumentation like this.
It's nuts, right?
Like, it's different. I've never heard an acoustic sit up front.
I know. And it's so far out front. It's a wild sound that I've just been listening to this album nonstop for like a week. But it's a great vibe. It's got like the electric piano going and then the, kind of typical jazz funks type bass and then the acoustic way out front playing all the melodies.
It's a loud Wiro too.
Right. That's what I meant, is it's really way up there in the mix. Anyway, Leighton, what's poppin'?
What's poppin' for me is a YouTube channel run by two people who I would absolutely love to have on the show. But the YouTube channel is called Fundy Fridays, and it's run by two people, Jen and James, who are a couple, and they cover Christian fundamentalists through history and especially Christian fundamentalist influencers in the present day. And the videos are really like smart and
They
interesting.
went to the Creation Museum, I see.
Yeah. And so Jen will do like her makeup and talk about stuff. And it is fascinating and horrifying. And, having grown up in the South with a pretty religious family, it hits just right for me. And I think that due to the way things are right now, it's much like my interest in the podcast Knowledge Fight. It's all like paying attention to why these people are the way that they are, the way that they recruit others, and the rhetoric that they use is incredibly important. But they make it fun and accessible, and they're super funny. And if I was going to give specific videos to check out, just in terms of like, this shit's wild, the Girl Defined. If anybody's ever seen this still, that's a YouTube video of two blonde women and it says how to do your makeup in a God-honoring way, that's Girl Defined. And also the one on Abby Shapiro.
Who's Abby Shapiro?
Take a wild guess as to who Abby Shapiro is.
Well, obviously she's some fundamentalist from this. Is it someone with a lot of children?
Abby Shapiro is one Ben Shapiro's sister.
Oh, okay.
So she's not a Christian fundamentalist, but the rhetoric is incredibly similar, and with it, and her online presence is
Cool as hell.
classic, one might say. Anyway, that video starts with a very funny intro that's Ben Shapiro singing WAP, but that has been stuck in my head of Ben Shapiro singing WAP, and it won't stop. So, also, did you know that Mara Wilson is cousins with Abby and Ben Shapiro?
Like Matilda?
Yeah.
Really?
They have publicly disavowed each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway,
Wow.
that's what's popping for me. Funny Fridays. It's pretty great.
Cool. Now, we do have another segment on the show, Leighton, which I'd like you to introduce this week.
Thanks. Well,
You're welcome.
Our final segment.
The worst transition we have ever done in the history of this show.
The worst transition we've ever done in the history of this show so far.
Well, thank you. No, I do appreciate the correction.
I'm glad I could be here for that.
It's an honor. Our final segment is 3 parts gratitude exercise and 1 part petty grousing. The name of the segment is Peaches and Lemons, and the theme song for that segment goes right here.
Peaches and lemons. Peaches and lemons.
Awesome, amazing. That was the theme song for Peaches and Lemons. We're each going to start with 1 lemon, which is a thing that is a minor bummer, annoyance, getting your headphone cord caught on a cabinet and it yanking out of your ears. That genre of problem, i.e. something small and not anything that's currently happening at this moment.
In the world. Yeah, I can go first. This is not the type of lemon I typically do, but it's more like a type of thing that bugs me than a specific thing.
Sure.
It is people not double checking things. Like, I will just never understand the kind of thing where it's like, hey, we're going to do this. Or someone says, hey, I'm going to do that. This happens to me occasionally in various contexts. And I don't want to call out anybody specific here. If you think I'm talking about anyone specifically, you're wrong. So don't read too much into this. But you think a thing is done, and then you're like, hey, did you check that thing? And they're like, oh, no, why would I? And you're like, oh, because it's the crucial thing that makes the difference. If, we're announcing a tour, for example, and the ticket links are working, or whatever. And
Or whatever.
like, hey, did you click the links to make sure the links were working?
That would be bad if that did happen.
Wouldn't that be bad? Now, that specific thing didn't happen when we recently announced an Intersex Party tour, but things in that general wheelhouse happened. And then I feel like a monster for being like, well, did you double check it? And the answer is like, no, why would I? Why would I double check that? I'm coming in my bitter old age to divide the world into 2 types of people, which is people who double check things and people who do not. And I am increasingly growing impatient with people who do not. So that is my lemon for this week.
Brian, I'm going to piggyback on your lemon because my lemon is an example of your lemon.
Okay, great.
My neighbors in my complex are great. I really love them and their dog. And they throw nice little shindigs every once in a while. And everyone who they bring around is always like super interesting and very like outside the realm of, creative and professional spaces that I'm in. So I always learn a lot. But I made a couple of friends, and the friends, Brian, hold your tongue on this, were telling me about a chiropractor that they went to that was great. Hold your tongue.
What could I possibly say about that?
Anyway, so she was like, okay, I'll send you a link to the guy that I saw because he was awesome and not expensive. And so I gave her my phone and I was like, send a text to yourself or just like enter your number and I'll text you and say, hi, it's Leighton.
I think I see where this is going.
And so she entered it. And then I wrote the text that said, hello, it's Leighton. Please share your chiropractic secrets. And I sent that text. And then A couple of minutes later, she was like, I did not get it. And she checked the number, and I had sent that text message to a random person. And so I had her re-enter the number so I could send it to her. So somewhere, someone out there did receive a random text for a stranger with a weird name asking for their chiropractic secrets.
This is exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. Whereas if I entered that number, I would read it again and be like, yep, that's my number. I'm glad I double checked that.
Yeah.
And nothing makes me more insane than the stuff that is obvious to me not being obvious to other people. And not everything is, of course, and that is a big part of life, is understanding what is obvious to you that is not obvious to other people. But there's some like baseline of things that I'm like, this is like a nice normal thing to double check. Here's a tweet I've almost sent out.
That's the funniest fucking pivot you could have gone to after ranting about how you're an old man who's incredibly particular.
But here we go. Here's the tweet. Okay. Let's say you are replaced by a pod person who looks exactly like you. All right. What 3 words could they say such that anyone who knows you well would be like, no, that's not Leighton, or that's not Johnny. Like something's up with that. And my 3 words is, it's probably fine.
Let's play ska.
Leighton?
I'll go on record just saying I fucking hate ska, by the way. I can't stand it.
You are so valid. Should I censor my ska? Shit.
The ska pillow?
This isn't here. Yeah. Let's go out. That would be my 3.
Great. Yes, I love it. Awesome.
Yeah. If a late never comes up to you and is like, hey, want to go somewhere? No.
Let's go out.
You'll get murdered.
That's really funny.
Let's play ska. Let's go out. It's probably fine.
That's exactly, this is the title of the episode. Leighton, that's exactly where I was going with this. Is I was going to say, in that order, let's go out. Let's play ska. It's probably fine.
I take back the dunk that I was setting up. That's a great tweet.
Thank you. I thought so too.
Anyway, so Lemon.
Yeah, Johnny. Lemon.
Johnny.
I've been thinking about this too. And okay, so I thought I knew what I was going to say. Because like, honestly, I've made such a practice out of letting small things slide off of me. Just because if you're not aware, by the way, I have like bipolar disorder and stuff. And so like, I've got to be super on top of that. Sick. So,
I got my mood stabilizers, bro. I didn't know that. I'm also bipolar. So
and so yeah, I have to choose how I feel about things as carefully as I can. And so for that matter, like the only things that really bother me are like big things. But I'll say my lemon, it's a bittersweet thing. I already have to leave California, which isn't small at all. It's like a big thing. But yeah, it's not all bad. It's not all good. So that's my lemon. It's a little,
that makes sense.
A little bittersweet.
I often feel like all the hard decisions worth making in life are.
There have been a lot of pros and cons lists lately.
Yes. My feeling on that, I may have talked about this on the show. This is actually something I believe very strongly, is that anytime you have to make a scary decision and you're like kind of talking yourself out of it, you should always make the scary decision. And it's not always going to work, but generally speaking, those are the choices. If you're like equivocating about it, doing the thing that seems scary but not like a terrible idea is going to work out.
Honestly, at this point, I feel like a professional scary decision maker. And I think that is like one of the things that just sets me apart. Like whenever someone's asking like, how do you do this thing? It's like, it's exactly what you think it is. And it's going to be really hard and scary. So sorry.
Do the scary thing.
Particularly with bipolar 2, at least for me, it's differentiating of like, is this idea actually good or am I manic?
Right.
And I'm now convinced that actually it's good.
That's a different level. Yes.
Yeah. Because boy, the decision making that I have done in my life, being like, no, I actually feel great. My brain's totally normal now. I'm not manic. What the fuck are you talking about?
Definitely want to start a podcast with that guy. That seems awesome.
People think the depressive episodes are the dangerous ones, but that's not true. Like when you get sad, it's tough and things are hard, but at least you know that you are. When you're manic, you're like, oh man, this is such a good idea. I'm not going to regret this at all. And then I'm like $1,500 down. I've pissed off like 3 good friends, and I'm in like Nicaragua or something. Like I make really strong choices.
Yeah, it's that this feels great, but then there's like something that knows that's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're about to crash so fucking hard, man. You enjoy it while you have it because you think it's great, but it's not great. You are not fine. Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
I guess that's exactly what I mean with the lemon thing, because it's both positives and negatives. I have to know like little minute changes in things. I can't let them alter my actual decisions because it's almost like having some kind of like baseline. It's like my little spinny top in Inception. I've got to have things that I can go to know if I'm dreaming or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. That's an interesting wrinkle.
Thank you for talking about that with me. It's a very like specific thing that I guess not as many people can relate to.
Totally.
Also, everybody at home, if you've forgotten to take your mood stabilizers this morning, as I have, go ahead and do that if the time is appropriate for you.
With a big glass of water. Don't forget to hydrate.
With a big glass of water so it doesn't like get all chalky and nasty.
I could tell you guys the time I accidentally gave myself lithium poisoning. It's a great podcast story.
I think we have to hear that now.
If you're willing to share.
If you're willing to share
It's actually really simple. So I don't take medication anymore. Anyway, but when I first got diagnosed, they put me on straight up lithium bicarbonate and bupropion. They gave me a nice hefty 1,200 milligram dose, which I thought was a little excessive. But it takes a couple months to kick in. So 3 or 4 months in, I'm just like, I don't like this because I can't make music. I can't do anything. Like, I just don't care about anything at all, which is not a good replacement for things. And so I stopped taking it. But then I got kind of sick and I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going through withdrawal because I've heard at high doses, that's a thing that can happen. So anyway, I started taking it again, and it turned out, no, I did not have withdrawal. I had the flu. And so when I took the lithium, I couldn't keep water down because I was still puking a bunch, and I realized I had the flu. And so I had already taken the lithium, but I couldn't drink water. And I had to go to the hospital and get put on a drip because I was dying.
Oh my God.
So it was the most uncomfortable I've ever felt in my life. They literally just put me on a Benadryl drip and I passed out, and they like hydrated me a little bit.
Wow.
Pretty fun stuff.
God.
Yeah.
Lithium is no joke. I am a Lamictal plus a bunch of antidepressants person, but it took being misdiagnosed with like unipolar depression, and then I don't know what these other things that happen to you are.
I didn't even know unipolar was a thing.
I mean, it's just like the opposite of like you just have basic depression, but a lot of times like it gets misdiagnosed. And so if you have depression and they put you on SSRIs specifically, it can trigger manic episodes. And so I had been going on straight Zoloft for a while and like having episodes and being like, why is this happening? And so now I also have to take a mood stabilizer. So got him.
Fun stuff. That was the other problem, is I didn't used to be too smart. And so when I was on bupropion, I never stopped drinking, which turns out you can't do that. So lots of brain chemistry fun.
Bad combo.
Yeah, bad combo. If you ever want to have a really bad time, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah. That goes for most antidepressants, especially if you have just changed a dosage, are on a new thing, have recently stopped taking a thing. Whatever you think a drink will do to you, a single drink, it will not do what you think it's going to do. Yeah. Anyway, we can keep going forever, but it's time for peaches. So we will each do 3 peaches, which are things that are nice, fun, exciting, cool, big, small, whatever. So I can run through mine really quickly.
Sure.
My first one is that I went and got lunch with our good friend and previous podcast guest, Allie. We got
nice.
some Kuro rotating sushi, and
Great.
she gave me a gift, which are replica Cyberpunk 2077 Johnny Silverhand dog tags.
Dude, that's fucking sick.
Right? They're tight. They're really
That's
good
great.
looking. So that's the greatest thing ever. And Allie, I love you. And I love eating just a disgusting amount of sushi and then like wandering into Lush and smelling things.
Which Cora did you go to?
Glendale Galleria, baby.
There's one in Glendale now? What?
It's in the Galleria.
I didn't know that. There are so many of those around LA now.
It's right next to the Lush in there. And
Of course I know where
Lush
that
is
is.
also a dangerous place for me to be. My second peach is that this like hasn't even happened yet, but I'm thinking about buying a 3D printer. And I think I'm going to do it.
Buy a 3D printer. Do it. They're so
They're
cheap
not
right
as
now.
expensive.
Look, the scary decisions are the ones you have to make.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I have to put a lot of play in it. Like I'm making a spreadsheet because of like, it's mostly the ventilation, right? Because I forget what the acronym is, but like when you think of 3D printer, you're usually thinking of like the pen, the draws and has molten plastic. There are resin 3D printers, which I think have better results for what the kinds of things I'm looking to do, because it's like a metal
Interesting.
plate and a vat of resin and then like an LCD screen on top of it. And so you chop your 3D model into layers. And so it will cure with UV light the resin in the like cutout or whatever the LCD screen's showing. And so the plate pulls out of the resin
Oh, that's
like
cool.
slowly over
That's so
hours and builds
sick.
it out.
That's awesome. Can I ask a question? Is it resin or rosin? I've always been told it's rosin.
Rosin is a different thing. Like
They're
what you would
different.
put on a violin bow, that's
That's
rosin.
different?
The candy, rosin. Resin is resin.
I thought they were spelled the same. Wow. Okay. Good to know.
Can I also ask a question?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that you're going to make if you get it?
A smaller 3D printer.
Genius.
Well, okay. So the thing that is holding me back right now is that like with the resin printers, ventilation is an issue. This is a studio apartment. So the way that people deal with the ventilation with resin printers is they buy marijuana grow tents, set
Oh my
them up,
God.
and put the 3D printer in there. So what's going to happen is in a couple of weeks.
You're not going to die if you get this, are you?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
I don't want you to like,
Die?
yes.
That's very sweet of you.
That's where I was going with this. Thank you. Yeah.
No, I'm setting it up like that because I'm going to have a grow tent and then I'm going to install in this window like a little vent fan and
Okay, great.
have it
Good.
vented to the outside, and I'll get an air purifier and like all that
Nice.
shit.
Good. Okay, great.
But the first thing I'll make, probably some keycaps for my keyboard. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
But, since I started doing 3D art this year, the idea of being able to just make something in Blender and then print it in 2 hours is like, I'll go mad with power.
That's awesome.
That
You
sounds
should.
so fun.
Yeah. We'll see. I just got to do my planning and make sure that, with my already jacked up sinuses, that I'm not further irritating them with resin particulates.
Totally.
And then my last peach is that the Dead by Daylight 6th anniversary event was like this past week. And after months and months and months of not playing the game, hop back on with our Twerp Boys Survivor Squad.
I saw you discussing it in the Discord. Yes.
So fun. The mid-chapter update is like a huge like balance and perk overhaul that like makes me genuinely interested in the game again, because like the meta has just been so stale for years and years and years, and they're nerfing all of like the strongest survivor perks. So now you can actually, it's viable to use different perks, and it's going to be a disaster, and the gamers are salty about it. And I live on gamer salt and gamer tears, so can't wait. It'll be a shit show.
I like when you type in that Discord, so everyone referring to a shared Discord that Leighton and Twerp and other people I have. Because anytime you talk about Dead by Daylight, I understand maybe 20% of what you're talking about.
I hate
So-
what you're about to read.
I'm going to read this right now. Okay, so this is Leighton from 62922. Okay, consider Metal of Man added to that combo so you can easily take 3 protection hits and then skip a 4th hit. Soul Guard for the people, Boon Circle of Healing / Exhaustion perk, Metal of Man. Some evil toxic survivor shit. Another option is swapping that 3rd perk for Blood Pact. Then other member of duo uses Decisive to become the Obsession and rove around in an unstoppable duo. I would fucking hate to go against this.
Also, the messages that came before that were, next time we play, I want to try a Soul Guard for the people combo with y'all. If we coordinate, it'll be nasty as fuck. And like
Yeah.
with Boon Circle of Healing, so I can always use for the people, I can run in, pick up a dying survivor, and then tank a hit with Soul Guard.
Oh, no, you said a dying serve. You
Yeah.
abbreviated Survivor SURV, which is amazing.
Listen, I'm just saying, folks at home with Off the Record about to enter the meta, and everybody's going to be leveling their arena to get teachable off the record. I'm just saying that Soul Guard for the people is a viable meme build, and I'm going to try it.
When I hear you talk like this, I hear Audrey in 10 years,
Oh, God.
where she's just like, she'll be 18, and she's just like going deep in some video game. And I'm like, honey, I love you, but I have no idea what you're saying right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's my whole thing. The things that I enjoy the most, I just like to be in a zone where nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, Sam.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll talk to my mom about things. I call my mom every day. I've become a mama's boy for sure. But anyway, I was talking to her last night and I was like, yeah, I'll just have to make sure I can go to Long Beach later because my links, I finally got the stuff I was ordering in. I got the AES converter and the ADAC converter. So now I can send that to the Cranborn 500 series chassis. And then all I need after that is a PCIe card for my computer. And then I can get 18 more. And then I realized while I was talking, I was just like, I need more stuff for my thing. And she's like, cool. Got it.
Yeah.
I don't think she knows what I do for work.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't think she understands what recording engineering means.
Nope. My parents never did. They came to, I don't even know how many physics talks. And they were just like, that's nice, dear. It's great. Johnny, got any peaches?
Yeah, I got peaches. Yeah, I think meeting Brian is one of my peaches as well because,
dude, thank you.
I was aware of who you were, but like, only as, an SP and stuff. And then after actually meeting you, I'm just like, you are one of the fucking coolest people I've ever met.
Oh, man, thank you. Mutual.
We chatted for like 2.5 hours when we first met. It's usually not so easy for me to talk to people, but it was like the easiest interaction I've ever had in my life. So
Holy shit, dude.
that was
thank you.
cool.
No, dude, I feel the same way, man. I'm so glad we got to know each other, and it's been so fun hanging out, in the times we've had. I'm bummed you're moving out of LA, but I hope that doesn't mean we get to, not continue the stuff we've been doing.
The internet exists.
The internet
which is
exists.
great.
And the thing about Oklahoma, this is what keeps informing my decisions too, is like it's so cheap that I can literally exist somewhere else for 2 or 3 months and it won't matter.
That's
I
awesome.
can afford to live there. Like, I'll just say this, for the next 6 months after I get there, my rent is $250 a month.
No, we have to go.
How does that feel?
I'm sorry, this podcast is now over. No, that's insane, dude.
It's gross.
What the fuck?
I'll be buying plane tickets more expensive than my rent.
Oh my God.
Sorry. My second peach, Illuminations. If you've heard of that YouTube channel, Illuminations.
No, I haven't.
She's a YouTuber. She's an animator. She makes like story time type videos.
How do you spell that? Is it ILLY?
ILLY Mations. Yeah. Illuminations.
Oh, yeah. I've seen this stuff. Yes.
Yeah. So she contacted me shortly after I got to LA. And she said she wanted to make an EP. She had these songs. And so we went to a studio. I really got to dig in on it. I arranged all the music. I brought my drummer, Ethan, out to California, and we recorded this whole thing.
That's great.
I finished the mixes, and we just got the masters back yesterday, and it sounds awesome. And I'm really excited for it to come out. So it's a huge peach.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And my last one is maybe the biggest one. And I'll say this, if nothing else had happened from me coming to California, like if I had literally just completely ate shit and this was the only thing, it would have been worth it. So there was a studio in Northern California in Cotati called Prairie Sun. And Prairie Sun, their discography goes on and on and on, but they're most famous for the Doobie Brothers recordings as well as Tom Waits' Mule Variations and Bone Machine. Tons of great records have come out of there. The movie with Tom Waits, Coffee and Cigarettes, was filmed in the fucking tracking room.
It's a Jim Jarmusch, baby.
Yes. So I was in that room that they faked to look like a diner. But like, I had the great fortune of meeting this engineer in Oklahoma before I moved named Wes Sharon, who worked on John Fulbright's record and the Turnpike Troubadours, and throughout the late 90s and early 2000s cut his teeth at Prairie Sun when he lived in California. And he lives in Norman, Oklahoma now. I became friends with him and I flew him out to engineer my new EP. And I got to record there, and a month later they shut down. They are no longer around. They don't exist. From like the late 70s to now, gone. And so I got to record in probably one of the most beautiful studios as far as vibe goes and just like character and grit and everything. Like I'd never heard a studio to just put its stamp on anything so much. And yeah, I was one of the last people to record there ever.
So great.
That's incredible.
For people who haven't been in a recording studio, it is true. Some spaces are just kind of magic. And it is this combination of the technical side of it, which includes everything from the console to the layout and, a million other things, to just a vibe that comes from like how it's decorated and shit. And some spaces really are just these mystical, magical spaces that just have the right vibe for certain things.
just to give a little more of an idea of what this place is, Cotati, California is in wine country. It's 45 minutes north of San Francisco. Everything is just vineyards and sun. It's amazing. It's like the Garden of Eden out there. And this is right off of a chicken farm, basically. It's in a giant barn. That's where they built this studio. So what you're seeing is a retrofitted barn. The weights room is just a big concrete room, like with metal pipes and stuff. It's not trashy, but it's old. It's a fucking barn. And it just so happens to have one of the best sounding live rooms ever.
That's so great, dude. I'm glad you got to experience that.
Huge geek out moment for me, along with an engineer who started his career there.
Yeah. Love it. All right.
Amazing. Brian, peaches.
Yes. Peach number 1 is, if you're watching this video, unless I talked about this before, and then in which case you'll know, but I don't think I did while we were recording, I am standing right now. I converted my standing desk to standing mode because I got tired of sitting so long every day. I used to use a standing desk all the time when I was an academic, and then I bought this thing and just didn't do it for no good reason. And now I am standing again, and I love it. I love standing. It's one of my favorite positions to be in as a human, and I'm glad to be standing more.
Question.
Yes, please.
Do you have like a floor mat
Nope.
to cushion? Okay.
The floor is carpeted.
Do you feel a difference, like posture or like back-wise when you're standing?
No, I've been standing pretty much for the whole week, and it's fine. It's nice because I get to like shift around like that. Look, I'm really limber, and I can I'm really agile. I'm really fast. I'm really quick. I can kind of get around really fast.
If anybody should sneak in like an assailant situation.
Oh, dude, I would just be on him. I don't have to get up and take him down. So I would just launch myself, right? There's a chair right here. I would launch myself over the chair and take him down with like a leap.
Launching capabilities are much higher.
Much higher, like substantially higher. I'd say at least 38% higher, possibly as high as 43.
It's a highly defensible position, which is what everyone needs their workspace to be.
Thank you. That's correct.
Because I've got gamer holes in my chair.
Yes.
If someone wanted to like come at me, this is a prime location, I'd be fucked.
100%.
As I fear every day in the middle of the night as I sit at my computer, I'm like, someone could just creep up. I got headphones on.
Hell yeah.
The only reason I don't have a standing desk is because I've got 2 deadbolt lock doors right there. If I didn't have those, I'd look into it.
Look, you guys get it. What can I say?
Yeah, you get the under the desk mounted katana.
Shotgun, the sawed off shotgun under the desk so you can just reach for it. Yeah. Peach number 2 is, and this is a big one, I had 2 Chicago-style hot dogs for lunch today, and I love Chicago-style hot dogs, and I was very happy to eat them, and they were very good, and I will even say they were among the best I've had in Los Angeles, and I will not be revealing where I got them from. And then, okay, so final peach. Today marks the 7-year anniversary of when I moved to Los Angeles, and it was July 1st, 2015, and it's been an insane 7 years. And, when I moved out here, I had a year leave from my university because I wasn't sure the band would ever make enough money to be a career. And I was half expecting to just be out here and be like, give that a shot, and then turn back. And instead, NSP started doing better and better and has become the thing it has. And I've gotten to start all sorts of other cool projects, such as the stuff I'm doing with both of you and many, many other things. And it was one of those scary decisions that I could not be happier I made. And even if it had been an abject failure, which was certainly theoretically possible when I was starting out here, it still would have been better than oh man, I wish I'd done that. And now knowing what I would have missed and the people I would have missed had I not been here, I am grateful every day that we relocated to this horrible, horrible city. But I do honestly love many things about LA. There's a lot of great stuff here, but the number one thing is the people, like you guys. So those are my peaches.
Wow, sweet. Well, we've arrived at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. Johnny, what an absolute delight to have you on and get to meet you. This has been such a fun way to spend a couple of hours on a Friday. So
it's good to meet you as well.
Where can people find you online and your music and all that jazz?
You can find me on any streaming service, Johnny Manchild and the Poor Bastards. I've also got a Patreon. If on the off chance that you become a diehard fan, you can see all kinds of cool behind the scenes stuff and sheet music and videos of me being an idiot at patreon.com/Johnny Manchild Music.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who aren't familiar with Johnny's music already, Johnny, you really are a stunningly talented guy, and just absolutely a consummate musician. So if you guys don't know Johnny's stuff, you got to check it out because it really, really is great.
Thank you. I don't practice at all.
No, neither do I.
Born like
Honestly,
this.
I feel like I should practice more, but I'm also like, fuck it.
Yeah, I literally just went back to scales today.
Yeah.
Like I decided I must have missed something. So
Cool.
Neat. Well, folks at home, thank you once again for joining us. If you want a beanie that has the word come on it,
Which you do.
which you do, you
It's
can
really
go
small.
either to merch.latenight.com or cumstuff.com.
That's right. Beanie's available now.
Yeah, try it out.
I'm scared to try it out.
No, just go to cumstuff.com. This
yeah,
is
it's
not
totally normal.
a recurring bit we do at the end of the show to terrify guests. Just go to, I want to see you type it. I want to see what happens to your face.
We've returned to our roots of just making the outro come.
I'm opening an incognito window for
Okay,
this.
great. That's a good idea.
Smart.
Cumstuff.com.
For all of your cum needs.
It actually just straight up doesn't load. So there's that.
Oh, wow.
That's good news.
Wait, did we
That's
not
happened to me
renew a
before with
certificate?
this.
I'm really not trusting this anymore.
Well, it loads for me.
It works. And also we have some I agree with you, but also shut up designs, stickers, shirts. We got Peaches and Lemons pin sets.
There we go.
And we are going to bring the Stay Safe Come Hard black metal tee back.
Yes. Oh, in fact, I think for the episode that came out today, we said we did, and then we didn't do it. Also.
And then we didn't do it. So
Which is
consummate professionals over
That's right.
here. By the time this one is out, they will be back. Okay. Listen, when you get shit printed, you have to get samples.
Oh, it's so
Have we
annoying.
gotten those shirt samples yet?
Actually, no, we didn't get the samples, so it's not our fault.
Fuck.
Great. Okay, love it.
Just like it's important to us that the fit and the cut and the fabric of a shirt or a hat are like good
Toit.
and cool and sexy for you.
They need to be toit and noise.
Well, hope your week's toit and noise, people at home.
I've never been more terrified by a single item as I am as like at Ninja Brian's mayo jar.
No, thank you. Thank you very
scared.
much.
It's my favorite. I was drinking red wine out of it on Friday. You know, nothing eventful happened on Friday that would have caused me to drink 75% of a bottle of wine out of that mayo jar.
Well,
but
I exclusively drink heavy cream out of it,
No.
and I'm lactose intolerant.
all right,
Oh.
see ya.
Bye.
Very good.
Bye.
Leighton Night is produced by Brian Wecht, Leighton Gray, and Jarek Centeno. Follow us on Twitter at Leighton Night, on Instagram at Leighton_Night, or email us at leightonnight@gmail.com.